What up? What up? Welcome to the Just Talk Show. Top notch till I drop your brother, not your op. And today's subject, we're just gonna let it flow. We got Junior in the building. We got Just Talk MJ in the building. We got AJ in the building. You know me, Skinny G. You know what I'm saying? So today's topic, we was just talking about Terrence Howard and how he went viral on the Joe Rogan show. And I encourage everybody to go take a look. It's a long form podcast, so y'all can become better abreast on everything that was going on. But we're gonna react live to this little clip that I got. So let's just check it out. Just a little starter clip, a little teaser clip, so we can get the conversation going. Just like this here, just talk.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, yeah. Speaking of conspiracy bros, I was going to watch this.
When you say rebuild the periodic table, what do you mean specifically?
Well, the way the periodic table is laid out, the periodic table they have now,
Let's see.
it looks like a box, but they don't show that hydrogen has the same tone as carbon.
What do you mean by tone?
Same tone, same key of E. Same key of E, 40.5 hertz. The next one would be like 81 hertz. You go to silicon, it will double up and would be 162 hertz. You'll go to cobalt and it'll be 324 hertz. It's take the angles of incidence or the tones that they create, their color. Like you can turn color back into sound based upon, it's the same wavelength, it's just twice as long or much longer. So all you have to do is keep dividing light by 2. You keep dividing light by 2 and you'll ultimately get back to the audible sound of it, because there was a relationship between light and color, sound and tone, matter and shape.
So you had figured this out at a young age?
I had already seen this. This was all inside of that palace. I had access to it, and I knew the relationship.
So you saw this in dreams?
I saw it as a circle. Everything was a full circle laid out, and each area was just expanding, like wrapping a rag around your hand. The first wrap, it's so tight. This is how I saw it more so, but as a vortex. You'll see there's a relationship between hydrogen, you understand what I'm saying? As you reach into the next octave, the carbon octave, and they call that a bisexual tone. If you have, you want to break water into its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen, all you have to do is introduce beryllium or the sound of beryllium. And oxygen will violently break away from any other thing, even hydrogen, to bond with that beryllium.
So there are a lot of scientists that saw this, and apparently everything that he said was wrong. Yeah, apparently none of this is really true. Now, everybody is acting like this is some kind of like crazy thing, and everybody's like, wow, this is nuts, how crazy and dumb this guy is, right? He's not. I've met multiple homeless people that live at Taco Cabana that think this same thing. Yeah, if you go under a bridge, there's like 3 of him. This is proof of the world of science and mathematics that 1 × 1 = 2. Oh, so this isn't his first rodeo. Yeah, he's done this before. That's
next time, baby.
Wow.
So here we have a colonizer here trying to down our brother, trying to discredit him and say he's crazy. He clearly, to me, was talking about the astral plane when he was referring to his mansion. And like I said, I suggest everybody go watch the full episode so they can kind of get a clear understanding of what he was saying. He was saying that when he was a small child, he had a dream about going into a mansion, and that's when he got all these ideas. And he was saying in the episode that he realized it was his higher self. And when he's talking about all these different physics things, my thing is, when Einstein and Schrodinger and all these people were coming up with they theories, they said they were crazy too. And if it was social media and all this going on back then, they would have been talked about as well. Now, it only took to when they died to when they fully got their full credit. Einstein didn't get his full credit till after he died. He was seen as a crazy person too. So I believe, like you said, all these scientists talking down on our brother Terance, man. I believe it's just the same, some of the same thing. What y'all thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, man. I go ahead, Junior. I say you want to chime in. You go ahead, and then I'll chime in after you.
Yeah, I was just gonna piggyback on what Skinny G had said. He was just mentioning Albert Einstein. I'm gonna throw in there Nikola Tesla and several other scientists that have come along. Until that theory is disproved, I feel that Terrence Howard has a very good point here because until you can prove that that's wrong, that could be accurate. And everyone wants to eliminate, oh, he's crazy, this, that, and the third. Well, you're not trying to see it from that perspective. Until you're into a situation or you can't remove yourself from a situation, that could be actually what's accurately going on. So I don't discredit what Terrence Howard is saying. I actually think he is one of the most intelligent actors out there because most actors are all self-centered. They're not trying to give back or anything else. He actually took a huge pay cut to allow Robert Downey Jr. to get back on his feet in the first Iron Man. Everyone actually probably went to see that movie because at that time Robert Downey
Right.
Jr. was only known as a junkie. So you have to just go back before he was Iron Man. So we have to go back to Robert Downey Jr. And before he was the Iron Man, he was just known as a junkie. So Karen Howard has several points that I think he's trying to prove here, but I think it's just too much to try to unwrap at one time. So he's giving a lot of information all at once. So the point of this, what I'm trying to make is that I think he has a very valid point, but it's just too much for them to try to unravel at one given time.
Right, right, right. And I would have to agree with almost everything you said. I mean, pretty much everything you said that was spot on. Kind of what I was gonna hit on because he did hit some great points on the tetrahedrons, and also they also talked about the flower of life, and also they talked about Schrodinger, and also they talked about one good person that they brought up was Walter Reed. Well, Terrence Howard is one of the guys that he referenced was Walter Reed, and this guy was more of a he was more of a traditional physicist where he didn't use a lot of math. So when he didn't use math, most scientists was like, we can't really, this we can't give you the credit that you should get until after he died. Like what you were saying, Skinny. They started looking to his work and giving it some credit. And the reason why I brought him up because I feel like I'm the same way. When it comes to a lot of the stuff, I look to the astral plane, what I'm saying, in the dreams and the thoughts and scientifically, I would say a lot of that was on point, but he did kind of would break down that one times one equals two. And what he was saying is you can't ever take the square root of any number and say that you're going to add a multiplier to it and still get that same number. That makes sense to me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, like what you're saying with the guy that was trying to discredit him, there was always going to be that. But it makes perfect sense to tell me that those elements that you're saying are always going to be broke down into a particle or a wave function. That sound can't affect that. Sound is definitely going to affect those waves. So, yeah, I agree with him. I agree with him and what he said. I need to see that project, like what he was saying about the water being separated with beryllium. I would like to see that happen too. But I mean, I believe that beryllium, if I believe that can happen because it's kind of it kind of ties into the universal laws. There are universal laws out there that says like you know, it's a lot of them, but like what goes in must come out, what goes up must come down. A lot of that stuff is universally said, and you gotta have everything accounted for in these science projects, in these science equations. So we can even. I know we're gonna touch on it a little bit, but like Schrodinger's cat, I was interested in that this week because I just thought that it was an interesting experiment, and I was against him at first. Actually, I actually ended up agreeing with him once I looked into it a little bit more. I think we both in an agreement that superposition only is affected by the observer. You know what I'm saying? Superposition is kind of saying that everything is entangled until it's observed, and it's kind of speaking to the God particle, if you ask me. But I'll let you. I ain't gonna. I can
Great
keep
point.
going. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you talk about it, Skinny.
Well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and drop this video about Schrodinger's cat for the people that's not familiar with the thought experiment. Basically, Schrodinger was a physicist in the 1930s, and he was one of the fathers of quantum theory and quantum physics. So let's go ahead and
Schrodinger's
give it a look.
cat is a thought experiment in quantum mechanics proposed by Erwin Schrödinger in 1935. In the thought experiment, a cat is placed in a sealed box with a device that has a 50% chance of releasing a poison that would kill the cat within a certain time frame. According to quantum mechanics, until the box is opened and the cat is observed, the cat is considered to be both alive and dead simultaneously. This experiment illustrates the concept of superposition, where a particle can exist in multiple quantum states at once.
So that's kind of ideal with Schrodinger's cat. Schrodinger, he was he wasn't proven credible when he was alive too. People were saying, "Hey man, he was he was an accredited physicist or whatever at the university. I believe he went to Cambridge or something like that. Or I think he's from Austria. But the thing is, even then, when he came to his peers talking about Schrodinger's cat and superposition and everything, they were like, "Man, this is preposterous." But actually, it sparked off quantum theory. And so basically, that's kind of what Terance was saying about the periodic table. He was saying that even though the traditional periodic table is divided by the atomic number and the number of neutrons and protons, and it does break down on a certain level when you have light particles like hydrogen, and then it goes down to oxygen. You have metals and everything else. What he's saying that it orbs out. It starts out from the beginning from a physics level, from a vibrational level, from a frequency level, and then it projects out and makes matter. That's kind of the same thing as superposition, because you think about it, if we use this classical model that where everything is linear, like he was saying, that it's only about the amount of atomic number, the amount of protons and neutrons. He's saying that it's vibrating out from an eternal source. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
got any feedback
let's
thoughts.
break down superposition a little bit. But what I think superposition could be broke down to be saying is that each particle or atom or neutron, as it is observed, has a position that the observer must measure it in. So anytime you're measuring a particle or a wave function or anything, you have to measure it. And unfortunately, it has to stop. You cannot measure motion. I guess you could measure motion if there's an equation for it. I'm pretty sure you know about an equation. Of course, there is a equation that Einstein made for
Yeah,
motion. At the same time, you have to measure those particles at one position, and that's what they mean about superposition, because they say once you measure the electron, it's either up or down, and it can be a little confusing. And that was the reason why the Schrodinger actually wanted to do his experiment. He was actually trying to say, "Hey man, it's kind of like for y'all to say that, oh, it's not going to be a fixed position. It's kind of crazy for you to say, no, it ain't fixed, but it's going to be one way or another at all times." And they were just trying to figure out, okay, what would happen if you place that cat in a box and you place a what is it? It's a nuclear atom that can decay or not decay, and the cat can't mess with the atom, but the nuclear atom can decay or not decay. So depending on if this nuclear atom decays or don't decay, that the cat will die if it decays, and the cat will stay alive if it doesn't. And what they saying is you wouldn't know what happened until the box opens. If you open the box, the superposition says that the cat is alive and dead at the same time, and that's kind of crazy, you know what I'm saying? So that's what
yeah,
he was trying to say. And that's why I
it
say,
is crazy.
and that's why I say that it's all about the observer, and if what it's whatever you think, and that's why it goes back to you being a creator. To me, that's my whole thing is, if you're a creator and what you are in the essence of what you thought, what your thought was, is going to be what the hell it is going to be. Like I say, if you're a pessimistic person and you say, "Oh, well, the cat gonna be dead," if you thought that was your first thought, and you knew that in your heart that the cat was gonna be dead, that probably is what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And as a creator, that could be what can happen. But sometimes, as I'm thinking about it as I'm talking, my life experience says other. That hell, I can open that box and I don't know exactly what would happen. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of tells me that there is still a lot of probability, but also that ties into the multi-dimensional state to where there is a theory that says that yeah, okay, the cat is alive and dead, but it happened in another dimension where in one dimension you saw
Right,
that the cat was dead, but in another dimension you saw that the cat was alive, and then both of those things
right.
exist. So that shit's kind of
You're
crazy.
exactly
It
right.
takes a rabbit hole, but I kind of like it. I think it's kind of interesting.
And so that that's what Stroger was going with, getting into the multiverse verse theory, that the observer actually creates the situation. Now, I will say this, man. You really can, in my personal opinion, it's just my opinion. If you have enough, if you're in tune with your spirit enough, you can affect reality. That's how a lot of people do magic and all these different things and intent and everything. That's what it's all based off of. So if these particles are what reality is made of, and us praying and doing different rituals and hoping and wishing can I mean I didn't see it happen. You can affect your reality by certain different things, but it's a lot of different observers other than you. When you got what 30 billion people on the planet, all with their own personality, and you got animals and everything else going on, it's hard to just say that, hey, I'm just this one person, I'm affect reality.
Well, that's
But
why they
okay,
and that's why they try to get you to watch TV, and they try to get all like-minded people and you know what I'm saying to do things that they want to do. Like they use fear. They like to feed off fear and stuff, man. And to take it into the conspiracy level of it, they like to feed off fear, and so that's how they can get everybody. They put like the wars and death and stuff and destruction on the news, so everybody will be in uproar, and so everybody will be doing the same type of feeling. Everybody will have the same type of prayers, you see what I'm saying? And then they can control that direction. So actually, what you're speaking to is kind of what I was just saying. We are creators, but that's what like the picky and the brain type people think about. How can I control those thoughts? How can I control this energy?
how can I make
Man,
the cat either dead or alive?
you just made a real good point, Mark, as far as, me and you had a conversation offline where we were talking about, hey, if I think something long enough, I can make that into fruition. But you were saying that everybody can't do that. That's because everybody else is not applying themselves and they're not in touch with their inner self. And if you can think of it, it can happen. But it's the same thing as speaking it. Speaking it can also have consequences down the road too, because people be like, "Man, I just wish she had died," or "I wish this." When you're saying things like that, you're speaking a vernacular that you're really not understanding because this is not most people's given language for one. And when you break down these root words and this etymology and get the root word of it, you're basically casting spells against yourself and others, and they don't even know that they're doing this. So to the point to which I was saying, I'm more of a spiritual person rather than a scientist or a mathematician. So I look at everything as in the spiritual realm. So when you're doing that, you're speaking that into existence. You're drawing power and giving that energy. So you're taking of your life force given to that. So a lot of people don't understand that, but we can go into a deeper topic on that, but that's just my take on that because I've known myself to say things and then unwillingly I have, caused harm or potentially had caused harm and I unknowingly did that.
Well, yeah, Junior, man, you right on point, man. This is the Just Talk show, man. So we got to talk about that side of it too. You know what I'm saying? We got to touch on that side of it. Yeah, I'm a spiritual man too, but I want to make sure that we touch on the scientific side of it for all of our viewers because if we're gonna be versatile, we got to be able to touch on it and touch on that topic. But we definitely need to bring that side to it, the spiritual side of it, because yeah, you're exactly right. And that's kind of what I touched on too. Again, as being a creator, if like the things that Jesus said, I mean, hey, you can do the things that God do too. So that's kind of what he was saying. He was touching on those type of things that, man, hey, you can be a creator too, and just by the things that you speak, and the things that you say and the things that you think, you know what I'm saying, they can all make that happen. But that's kind of again, like what me and Skinny was saying, if you can get all the people on the same page, whether it's good or bad, you know, that's they trying to control that spirit. Go ahead,
Yeah, yeah,
Skinny.
exactly. So what do y'all think about uh so Terrence, he also got a lot of criticism about the statement he made about, like I was saying, about he had a dream, or he remembered a dream where he went into a mansion, and his mansion was all these different experiments and shapes and colors, and then he said that he always would go back to that mansion, and every time he would come up with a new revelation, and or come up with a new idea. Some of the designs of the what I think called the linchpin theory that he had was in the mansion. And then he said
Yeah,
once he got older, he realized that the person that was speaking to him was his higher self. And
yeah.
he got a lot of criticism from people saying that, he crazy and he was a heretic. But how can you say that when you got people like Edgar Casey and all these other different people that that's been saying something about the astral plane for the longest? Any thoughts on that?
Oh, I definitely got thoughts on that. Because I like to tap in myself. That's why I said when and my first thought actually that is yes, this is the new age of Aquarius, and these are the things that we are starting to discover. You know, in this new age, and people gonna have to either ride this wave, particle wave, whatever, pun intended, ride this wave, get off. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Because yeah, I mean we finna start discovering more of these things where it's physically and mathematically different, and we're gonna start getting these answers from our higher self and from these higher dimensions and from ourself in other dimensions. Because I mean, you can say you don't believe in none of this stuff, but I mean, that's why I say this is the way that we're moving into. And I think a lot of people, again, a lot of people are starting to move on this side of the thing. You can say they're conspiracies or not, but I just believe, yeah, in the power that we have as a creator. If I was a creator, I like to think on that term as a creator a lot. But if I was a creator, I would think that if I wanted to create some stuff, if I had a mind to create some stuff, why wouldn't I create another dimension or multi dimensions? It's just so much. It's so many levels to the things that can be created through a thought. You know what I'm saying? So that's exactly what would happen. It seems like what Terrence Howard is tapping into, and what a lot of us are starting to tap into is exactly that. I mean, we gotta get down with it, and just start believing in our thoughts and in our dreams, like Terrence is doing, man. Because, like I said, he even drawed out the flower of life, and he was talking about how, back in the day, they they saw the flower of life, but they tried to make straight lines out of the flower of life instead of actually showing the model of the flower of life and taking the space for into account and doing actual mathematical equations. That's how he came up with that Linux, what you call that, the Linux star, whatever it is. That's how he came up with that in the dream. Part of that
Yeah.
was how he saw the flower of life. But yeah, go ahead though, Skin. Like I said, I can
Right.
keep
Right.
talking right on this for a minute, man. That's the thing about
Nah, we
us.
good, man.
Yeah, that's the thing about us, man. We like to go in on all these topics, man. Especially me, man. I'm definitely interested in this new stuff that I'm learning from Terrence Howard, man. I ain't even watched the whole podcast. It's like 3 hours long, but I'm gonna get into all of those things he's saying. When you guys talking about some kind of VR thing or something, Skinner, that he made, what was this virtual reality thing that they came up with?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because that was another a claim that he was criticized on. Now, apparently, Terrence said that he has over 91 patents, and one of his most prominent patents was I think his first one was when he patented a virtual reality system, basically where you have a box and you have a system and integration with the VR headset and everything like that. And in the patent, he also some of these main companies like Intel, IBM, and Amazon, and a host of other Fortune 500 companies have piggybacked off his patent. Now, Junior sent me some information over the net where he had it was profound, where he had a patent attorney break down actually what the patent was. He confirmed that he does have the patent, but he was kind of misleading us a little bit on exactly the status of it. What do you think about that, Junior? If you can kind of break it down a little bit. If Junior there, he might be busy. Bathroom break.
Yeah,
But yeah, so the patent attorney, the patent attorney was saying that Terrence, he does have the patent, but it's not that he's the sole creator of virtual reality. He was saying that AVI, virtual reality, has been around since, hey, if you ask me, since the days of Pong. Even when Bill Gates and them were first coming up with these video games and computers and stuff, they had a crude version of a virtual reality thing. So this concept has been out there. Has it been fully functional? No. Terrence did come up with an integrative system to make it fully functional. And by him putting that patent out there, these people did have to cite his patent, but they didn't actually uh, use it. They had to say, okay, well, this guy right here has a president. He has said this is a patent, that this is a creation that he has set his stamp on, but we're just gonna piggyback off of it. And so I think that he really did. He got his proof that he came up with the patent, but I think he was just misleading us a little bit on the what he's the sole creator of it, and maybe he's not just maybe misleading is the wrong word, trust word. Maybe he's just bigging up himself a little bit. Now, what you think about the virtual reality portion of the discussion Terrence had, Marcus, until we can get Junior back in the building?
Oh, I had been just taking a short
Oh,
bathroom break, but yeah, I sent you that video
yeah,
because by him saying that, it's got to be more to it because I've given you this portion of it, but he's saying, hey, I've let you in, but I haven't given you the keys to go all over the house yet. So basically, they're
oh, he
just
did say that.
basically you're working with the basic DOS system rather than using the whole full World Wide Web. So you're just playing on this version, but he's telling you if if you pay me, I will unlock all the secrets that this could be used for. Now, I don't know if you've ever used VR or not. See, my son has it. When I get in it, it makes me very nauseous because I don't know what it does because it simulates you moving, but you're really sitting still. So is it it's playing tricks on your mind because your mind is thinking what the visual is giving it is not
It
really
kind of throw off your
experience. So I couldn't
equilibrium a little
tolerate
bit.
it. So he plays it all the time, a whole lot for me because it was like a roller coaster ride it was on. I actually felt like I was about to tip over. So if that's just the basic DOS system of it, just imagine the features he could actually add to it and they could expand on it. But I'm gonna piggyback off of this because I've been watching another video where China is training their kids to use that right now, but they're training it to use it like how me and you would use it on as far as like spec ops on that level. So they're
Yeah,
gonna have their children trained up basically to be virtual soldiers by the time they're playing a video game.
that's crazy. Well, Terrence was definitely on to something. Like I say, he showed his credibility with that. Who do we know that actually has patents that's out there? Now he said they tried to overcharge him for it, and he didn't keep it active, but it's actually on record. And I think that far as what you're experiencing with the vertigo and everything, it's like sensory overload. Well, you know what I'm saying. The more you play it or something, you'll probably get used to it, or just maybe just it's just not for you. But it's been that kind of goes into the simulation theory where they say like we all in the matrix, and this may be all just a computer program that we living in now. Are you guys familiar with the simulation theory? Quick
I'm very
bathroom break.
familiar with the simulation because this was one of Billy Carson's, one of his main themes that we're all living in some type of matrix, and the, the so-called creator that he's referring to has created everything where you think you're touching something, but that's just what your mind is thinking. You're somewhere else completely. So I can understand his theory, but I don't believe that we're living in a simulation because if we were in a Sims game, why are people dying and we're putting them in the ground, this, that, and the third? That would just be, oh, you reset and then a new man fall out the ceiling like we're playing Contra. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of crazy too, man. Because I kind of been hearing about the simulation theory. The first time I came across it was Elon Musk was popping championing it, and so you got a lot of serious people that's coming out saying that it's possible. Nobody's really standing on it, but that it went from a fringe topic to in mainstream media these days. And as far as the creator is concerned, if it is a master creator, a most high, or something like that, I look at it like maybe the simulation theory is more on the line of this is how the creator designed the universe and designed the world. If you look into creation itself, it's so many things that have to line up that it'll be impossible for the universe to exist without it being a creator. Gravity, nuclear forces, so many different things have to align. If they was off one half of a millimeter, it wouldn't line up. The universe would cease to exist. Everything would just fall apart. So I think that the simulation theory has some merit. I think maybe we should stop calling it simulation theory and maybe try to build more onto the spiritual aspect of it. And I look at it like this: it's just quote unquote God's computer program, and where there may be the quantum physics, the quantum world, how superposition and the wave function can actually uh, can be anything, can be any type of probability it is until you observe it. Once you observe it, it makes it a atom and a different part of matter, which makes what makes us as physical beings. But we can go into the astral plane to where into the ether, as I like to call it, where you can kind of go into a dream state and create your own reality and stuff like that. Mark, you got any comments on that? Or are you there?
yeah, I'm still here.
Kind
I
of
can
preaching.
piggyback off of it,
Yeah,
Skinny G. But yeah, I
yeah, go
believe
ahead.
in a creator. I believe in a creator as well, but I believe mine on a different level. Hold on one second.
And what you mean though? Like, okay, go ahead. But yeah, so these things, physicists have been trying to come up with this theory of everything for the longest. And science has started out with Isaac Newton. He came up with the theory of gravity and momentum and what you call classic physics. What we work with every day when we driving and when we doing spaceships and rockets and all these different type of things, the law of thermodynamics and everything. But during the 1900s, when the German scientists started popularizing uh, going into the what Einstein called it spooky things at a distance. He was saying that hey, it's something going on with the quantum world here. You know what I mean? And we can't just discount it because we use it every day in our science. We use it every day with GPS and with radiation and even in the medical field when people are taking CAT scans and everything. But we haven't really figured it out all the way. So I think quantum physics, the quantum world, small, when the classical physics break down, I believe that's quote unquote God's computer program. Hence the name simulation theory.
Yeah, my guy, I'm sorry about that. But what I was gonna say, yes, I definitely believe in as a creator. I definitely believe in a great design because it has to be designed because everything is in correlation to each other. Like the water is to us because without the water we couldn't make it. The animals, we're here to tend to
Right.
them. without them, they would have no dominion. They would just be running wild. They would have no domestication. They would just think, hey, I just go out here do what I want when I want, however I want. But everything. If you go through every portion of life, you'll be like, man, somebody had to sit down and write this out. This is not nothing that's happened by like an explosion, and then everything just had to go into the right area, or this would not have occurred. You see what I'm saying? That's why I cannot
Yeah.
believe in the Big Bang Theory. That's just me personally. Science is, it's the best theory they could come up with. I know they have, you know,
What?
they can be like, "Well, how can you just say the Bible's right when it's been around for so long? You don't know who wrote that. They just saying this person did this, that, and the third. But at the same time, the further you go into it, you're gonna say, that still holds true today. And if you compare
Yeah.
across all religions, all of them pretty much are gonna say just about the same thing. It's just gonna matter what portion of the word you're in at the time when you're asking that question, because everybody's gonna have a main being. Everybody's gonna say, "Oh, he made man in my image, so I look like whoever who created me." And everybody on earth looks the same. You just have a different tone. So people, that's man-made races. You know what I'm saying? It's only one race. It's only human. You know what I'm saying? That's all I know of. I don't know of any other. Because when I go to surgery, when they cut you open, all I see is everybody guts and intestines and heart all look the same. So it had to be a great design to it in the first
Okay.
place. Man could not have made a human, you know, because guess what? It would be so many imperfections in it, you know.
Well, I mean, well, in the Bible it says that God, so God taught man how to domesticate animals. Before man was around, animals were doing just fine. I mean, we had different extinction level events. But if you look at all the animals on the planet, I believe man has played a factor in the extinction of most animals on the planet. Most animals would thrive on the earth, and go through their natural circle of life. What I mean, you're gonna have your apex predator. What I mean, you're gonna have your omnivores. You're gonna have, but they all have a circle of life. They all exist as one in the ecosystem. Man is the to me, man is the human beings have naturally disrupted the ecosystem by us building and domesticating, putting up fences and fish in the ocean to where most of the marine animals are becoming extinct because we didn't fish them to death, and we build and herbalize and across the planet. What I mean, we the only species on the earth that can actually truly manipulate our environment, and so I'm glad you brought up the fact about the Bible because I was under the I'm under the school of thought about far as the creator being separate than what's in the Bible. I'm under the school of thought that the Anunnaki was what created man in his own image, and the Anunnaki is what something that Joe and Terance referenced in their podcast. I believe Joe was saying that it was popularized by Zachariah Stinson, and I think everybody in internet land heard about the Anunnaki. You know what I'm saying, Junior? I know you probably came across it. Well, I always wanted to pick your brain. Since you're a spiritual person, what do you think
Well,
about
you hear
that?
me?
Far as being a true creator or the Anunnaki, what do you think about that?
I think they can be one and the same, because when you look at the Hebrew version of it, if you read it out in Hebrew and you do your own translation, Elohim is gonna turn over into Gods, meaning a plural version of it. So if Anunnaki equal gods with an S on it, then it would still satisfy the requirement. That's why I said it just depends on where you are. If you were in Sumer or Sumeria, they refer to them as the Anunnaki. If you were in Egypt, they will refer to it as Thoth. If you were in Mesoamerica, they're gonna call it the Great Serpent or
A
Teotihuacan.
Quetzalcoatl. A
So
Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, that's it.
so it's just gonna be where you are when you're encountering this. If you go down into the what we call the sub Americas, Utah further back, you're gonna refer to it as the Hopi. You know, tribe was referring to those who came as well. If you go to the Dogon people in Africa, they are still sticks, basically stick in gatherers and hunters. They have no electricity. They have no. How would they know about Sirius B and A? And Sirius B is
Well,
not
they
even visible with the
had to
naked
learn
eye.
it from somewhere.
They if you go back to their oral tradition, they're gonna say those who came. So in
Okay,
every
okay.
if you break it down, in every tradition, everyone said someone came. You know, it's just gonna be a different verbiage of what the name of it was. So the Anunnaki satisfied my requirement for that. So I'm still of the same perversion of there is a God, and it just depends on who you refer to him as. So the name you can change his name to whatever you like. Some
I mean,
people like to call him Jehovah. Some call him Yeshua. Some call him, Elohim. Some call him, you know. So it's just gonna be based on where at you're at in the world first and what tradition that you have been brought up under. You know, most people here in the US are gonna be Baptist or Mormon or Methodist, Pentecostal, it's gonna be tied in. But like I said, man-made religion is I don't believe in religion. I'm like I told you earlier, I'm spiritual, so I believe in, like I told you, of a creator. It just depends on where you are and what you're calling. That's it's just gonna be your personal interpretation of it.
well, I interpret it like this, man. I've been studying this for a while, and I believe that all these ancient tribes, like you said, the Dogon, the Hopi, uh, the Mesoamerican tribes, even the Egyptians with Ra and Thoth and Isis. I believe they all referring to, like you said, those people that came from the stars, and I believe they actually were physical beings, and they wasn't really the true creator of the universe. They would, like, maybe higher dimensional beings, or maybe our progenitors, because if you look into our genetic record, we do have an X chromosome, and I think that we do have junk DNA, and it is examples that our DNA has been tampered with. Now, I don't think that a true creator that created all the animals and all the planets of the world would have to tamper with our DNA. And even if you look at man, I don't think man was it's indigenous to this planet. We always have back problems. We got all these diseases going on. Like, why don't dogs get cancer and all this type of things? I think that we aren't natural to this earth. Our ancient ancestors were the before Homo sapien came around, and I believe that they like I believe in what the ancient texts say. Yeah, yes, they created man and in their own image, and I just think it was in a genetic lab instead of playing around in dirt. But that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? I used to be bitter about it because I came up in a Christian background, and when I started studying all this stuff on the internet, I started being bitter against religion and stopped going to church, and I kind of lost a touch with my spiritualism. I stopped praying, and I started going down a dark path, and I had to really do some soul searching and realize that like my mom said, I don't know what you're talking about, but I've been praying for you for so many years. uh, I don't care what you say, God is real. And so I had to really take a look at that. And I had a debate one day with this pastor, man. And I was telling him about my theories about the Anunnaki. And I asked him a question. And, he came to me, they always come with that Brother Johnson and this and the whole hall and huddle. I said, let me ask you a question, man. If God was the omnipresent God and controlled the whole universe, what do you need a spaceship for? And that was my trick question. I always ask any preacher or anything just to see where they at. You know what he told me, man? He said, if the man that's in the spaceship was sent by God, that's God in the spaceship. And so he set me up with that one, man. I couldn't say nothing else. I said, man, you the first person that never answered that question. So I
Well, you
feel
go.
you on that, man. I'm not bitter no more about that, man. I still stand on that what I said though.
Well,
they weren't the true God, what we call it. They physical beings.
well, look at this standpoint.
Go ahead.
In the book of Ezekiel, Ezekiel is, if the Bible is correct, we're talking about over 2,000 years ago, probably around 3,000. He's trying to, in his best description, describe something that's unnatural, because he described a wheel within a wheel, and it has all these faces on it. But what would, if you had to put that into a, I would describe that as like a orb that's rotating, because he's saying it's multiple faces on it.
Yeah,
So if something's turning, you would see different sides of it, meaning different faces. So what I try to do is break down, try to put myself into what he's saying, what he's seeing, what he's describing, because Ezekiel ain't the first person to describe stuff like that. Whether you know it or not,
yeah,
it's several accounts in the Bible about, people coming. If you had to describe something as you came from somewhere else, like if you're from Texas and you come to Mississippi, you're an alien to Mississippi because you're from Texas. So if
exactly.
something came from somewhere else, yeah, I don't know where it is, but if you come from somewhere else to on Earth, you're an alien. So in my mind, he saw something unnatural, and then for him to ascend to heaven in a fiery chariot. So when I'm trying to put that in context, look at the space station, not the space station, but NASA when they blast off. Wouldn't that be
Hmm.
consistent with a, almost like a fiery chariot? If somebody had gotten into it, if I'm talking 3,000 years ago, so that's how I would interpret that.
Exactly.
Now I've done a little bit further because I've listened to the audio version of the Book of Enoch. Enoch is describing even more. He's describing 7 layers that's in heaven. So it's heaven that we think that's just heaven, but it's a whole bunch of heavens. Just know this.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you brought up the Book of Enoch, man. They say great minds think alike. I was just thinking of that because the Book of Enoch, if you ask me, it's all about extraterrestrial encounters. How I think it said that he was laying in his bed and an angel came down to him and told him to get on the ship, and it took him up to meet with God. And I mean, it reads like a science fiction novel, man. If you really break down and listen to it, and it's all different type of other accounts, man, in the Bible, like the book of Exodus, when Moses was being led out of Egypt, they were followed by a cloud. Now, it wasn't a word for cloud back there. And then in the Hebrew, it just really just mean an object in the sky. And so, and then it landed on the Mount Sinai. If you ask me, that was a UFO. And when he went up there and spoke with God, and he came back, and his hair was white, and he had the tablets. It looked like a little radiation poisoning to me, and how he dropped the manna from the sky. You know what I mean? And all that. And so, even with the Ark of the Covenant, how they communicated with God at the time, I believe that was a extraterrestrial device to be able to communicate with whoever was in the ship. So so like I said, I believe that there is a true creator, but I just I also I wouldn't be telling my whole truth if I didn't say that. Yeah, I knew that the Anunnaki were these beings, and they weren't really they I believe that they were masquerading as gods, man. Now, were they benevolent? Some of them were. Thoth was known to be for humanity, and Enlil, which was Yahweh of the Bible, Billy Carson. When you reference when he said he was if you ask me, not a too good of a guy. I mean, he wanted to kill off humanity because they were too loud. You know what I mean? And so that's where the story of the Great Flood comes from. This all is in the book of all is in the Epic of Gilgamesh, predates the Bible. So I mean, my thing is, man, I want to marry the two, man. I want to marry spiritualism with science. I want to marry creationism versus well, I guess we can get uh what is that
Big
evolution out
Bang.
of here. I don't think nobody believes in that no more. But the Big Bang is kind of preposterous too, man. I mean, uh, the scientists say give us this one miracle and we can explain everything else. I mean, the Big Bang it really doesn't have any merit to me because where did it? How can you get something from nothing? You know what I mean?
I
Uh,
agree.
I don't know if I don't think the universe is just infinite. I believe it has a beginning and an end. And just like Terrence said, just like in the Men in Black movie, I think maybe we all just part of one big organism, man. If you look inside of a cell with a microscope, we got a lot of stuff going on. You got organelles, you got uh, uh, red blood cells and white blood cells, and they going about their business and mitochondria and everything. Who's to say that these different cellular creatures doesn't aren't self-aware? They sure do their job well. They sure attack bacteria and viruses. They sure do their job well. And to their perspective, and to their two-dimensional, one-dimensional world, they have no reference of a that they're inside of a human being. Who's to say that us in this whole universe and this whole solar system is just not part of one big organism as well? And so these are just the things that I ponder on. I think Mark is probably doing an extended bathroom break, but if we can expound upon that a little bit, I guess we'll just take it home.
Well, I just want to give some final notes on what you had said. There's a reason why Enoch was removed from the book, but you still reference his name. All the first century Christians knew about Enoch because he is the great grandfather of Methuselah, Noah. He is in that same bloodline. So for you to mention him, but you remove his whole book, that's why people like, why you just say that guy name like we supposed to know him? Because you are, because it was a whole book about him when he was breaking down at the Council of Nicaea. Men like me and you sat down, said, "Hey, that's not going along with this storyline, man. He all the way like
Exactly.
a left winger. I mean, you might be on the left wing. That's more me, but you might be on the right wing. So they said this book is a little too controversial for us to try to deal with at this point. You can leave his name in here, but it's too much to try to unbottle and to try to make somebody focus on this. So you got to think about by the time Constantine wanted to make Christianity, the Roman Catholic, what I'm saying, the whole country
The
or the
law of the
whole
land.
yes. If you didn't go along with what he's saying as emperor, you were put to death. So
Yeah,
people knew that these books were removed. That's why you finding them in jars and in caves and stuff like that now, like the Dead Sea Scrolls. Because if you were caught reading that material anywhere, you'd be put to death. So people knew that this is altered, but if I say something about it, then I'm gonna get killed. So that
exactly.
after a generation or two, guess what? You would have been done forgotten. You would have adopted it as truth. So that's just
Yeah.
gonna be my final
Hey,
take on it. And as far as the manna machine, the manna was coming out of a machine, man. The Ark of the Covenant was some type of machine, and that's why it's missing now because they have it, and they're like, this thing is super powerful. So
exactly.
if Hitler was, that's what Hitler was searching for. If people don't know, when he was going down to Antarctica, he was looking for a game changer, and if possibly he recovered it, he could have shifted that war, man. you know, thanks for us, he didn't find it, or me and you would be probably speaking German right now.
Yeah, I heard that. Hey, did you hear Billy Carson when he said something? I don't know if you're familiar with this theory, but the Ark of the Covenant was what powered the pyramid. and that Moses actually was, he stole it out of the pyramid and was trying to escape with it.
Yeah. And he did. That's why he was fleeing, from Egypt. If you say that is true, and Moses would have been Akhenaten as far as in the historical
Yeah,
text. If you're looking
yeah,
for him in history, you won't find Moses. You'll find um Akhenaten,
I
and
can
then
the
that's
belief
why
in one God.
the one that's why they tried to completely erase him from history because he tried to take them from Pale to just a one guy, and that was like, no, we have a whole pantheon. How are you just gonna just pick one, the sun disk guy? You know,
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So I guess, man, we be watching the same videos, man. Man, like with man, I'm just proud of these brothers like Billy Carson, man, and Terrence Howard, man, that's going out here speaking truth to power, man, and going out here getting their voices heard. These Billy Carson, he came up, he got his bones on the internet, but just Terrence Howard being such a great actor, man, like from Hustle and Flow and Empire and and all these good things that he played, episodes he played. Like Joe said, man, it's just so amazing to see that this brother, is involved with physics and all this, man. And he's just like a man after our own heart, man. Us from Mississippi, we the same way, man. We Renaissance man as well, man. We do it all. We play basketball, we draw, we got jokes, we know about physics, we know about religion, we can't miss us, man. And it's just good to see a brother out there like that, man. But I guess Alvin and Marcus, they are on extended bathroom break, so we're gonna go and wrap it up here. And I want to tell y'all, we appreciate y'all. We on our road to 500 subscribers. Go ahead and like, cause we need y'all to hit that like button so we can boost up in the algorithm. We're trying to get these views up. We're trying to get everything up and get this channel to the next level. Um, we are all inclusive here. We're gonna have our opinions, but we don't want to alienate nobody about our theories. We support Terrence, we support Billy, we support Joe, we support traditional science, we support religion, we support whatever. But we're gonna have our own takes, and we're gonna all we like I said, we're gonna just talk about it till we can find out what's really going on. But other than that said, man, we out of here. Junior, any final words?
any final word? Catch up on these last NBA games. I think it's gonna be in the end. It's gonna be Boston and Dallas, and I believe Boston will probably get it.
Okay. We're gonna hold you to that one. All right. Well, this has been Jake's Talk Show. We appreciate y'all.